call together our Brainerd, Minnesota, October 26, 2021, 4 o'clock p.m., City Hall Council Chambers. Tim, will you lead roll call, please? Everyone make sure your mics are
on. Tim Boder.
Is my mic on?
Troy Rushmeyer.
Here.
Kara Schaefer.
Here.
Andrew Scheit. Here. Kevin Yeager.
Yes. Pledge of Allegiance, please. Item number 3. Anyone want to lead?
Sure will.
Kara?
Yes? Okay. Pledge allegiance.
Thank you, Kara. Item number 5 is the consent calendar. This is a notice to the public that all matters listed are considered routine by the board and will be enacted upon one motion. There's no separate discussion of these items unless good cause is shown prior to the time the board votes on the motion. This includes item 5A, approval of the minutes, 5B, approval of disbursements, and 5C, financial reports. Looking for a motion? So moved by Ms. Schaefer.
Second.
Second by Mr. Boder. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. There we go.
Can we turn these on?
Yes, please.
Is it?
Item number 6 will be our unfinished business. Oh, did I skip the agenda? Oh, sorry, guys. I'm going to jump back real quick just to see if we have any additions or changes to the agenda. This is item number 4. I do have one addition, which I'm going to give the number of 7B. This is the Gregory Park Christmas tree. This will be 7B in new business. Other than that, I would be looking for an approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Boder and a second by Mr. Scheip. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. There we go. We have an agenda and a consent calendar. All right, unfinished business. Item 6A, this is an update on Memorial Park construction. I'm assuming this is you, Chris.
Yes, this one is me. So, don't have a lot for you. Things are pretty well complete out there, but we do have the voucher in here. I believe that was under the consent, so I don't think we need to go into detail on that. But we did run through. We did kind of another walkthrough with the contractor early last week. There's just some minor things yet, just some trim that's rippled and things like that. So we're trying to get those things wrapped up. We still need to get that pleasure rink area filled in a little bit. Troy and Parks wanted that filled in, so we're still working on that. But otherwise, those are kind of the main things left going on out there. So I did bring, I know we asked about pickleball nets last week, so we did, I believe this is the one that we talked about last summer when we were working through this. One option for you, but
I can pass them down.
Steve Hall there. I know Paul was wanting something a little bit heavier. Tip over the but these are motor-rated systems. They're a little bit heavier, not as easily tipped over. So
300.
And the net, there is no price on those net systems, but they are, I believe those were $1,800 a piece plus any shipping costs. So.
Oh yeah, I said, but I was looking at the basketball system price. Sorry.
Yeah, and there are some different, there are some cheaper versions if you want to look at those too, but this is more their, I guess their higher end one, but. But I think you were more specifically asking about the pickleball stuff here last month, so we included both. I guess we do have a little time before that starts next summer, but we can definitely look at some other options. I know a couple other clients that have just, I believe, recently purchased too. I was going to try and check with them and see what they had and how they like those too. So I can definitely report back on that with some more options. But again, we did talk about the portable systems out there since this primary, I guess technically, more for hockey. So trying to keep from having any holes and penetrations in the concrete out there for making ice on. So. Other than that, I don't, I guess, have anything else as far as to report. I would hope to maybe close out the contract here in the next, month or two as we get everything wrapped up. So we'll bring that pay voucher back. Unless there's any other questions from anybody, I don't have anything else for you.
Awesome. Anyone? Actually, Kara jumped in just, let me get her real quick, Troy. Please, Ms. Schaefer.
So where are we gonna store these? I know maybe we don't have to talk about that yet, but we probably need to think ahead, whatever we end up buying, like, do they fold up small? Or like, cause will we keep them in the warming, is there a closet, a warming house? Cause the people will use the warming house in the winter.
We have the garage over there that's just off the field, as well as there's quite a bit of storage underneath the grandstands and that. I'm assuming in there would be the place.
The mice won't eat it?
I don't think so. I think we'd be,
Okay,
we'd have to talk to Troy
Well,
about it.
they'll eat anything, but except for the metal.
right. That might be something, I mean, just thinking ahead, so we don't have to replace one every year because the mice eat through it, or it's not like in a safe place.
Right.
You know,
And we would
maybe
be-
the nets could be rolled up and put in PVC or something.
Tubes or something, yeah.
Capped, just to protect them, but
Mr. Rushmeyer, did you have something?
I did, and I thought we were gonna go with the anchors. One reason, just looking at these, potential for tripping once the wheels are down, and I don't know. I think they're probably heavy enough. I think another one of our concerns was someone walking off with them, when they're gonna have to be diligent about their work to do that with these. It looks like they're pretty heavy duty, so, and I'm not against using these, I just wondering if, does that, putting those anchors in cause potential problems for the concrete? And then could we look at what the costs of, since we have till next summer, look at the potential cost difference of these versus
The anchored systems.
the anchored systems?
Yeah, no, we can definitely.
Even if we did go with this, I'm just trying to, I think there's pros and cons of both, and I mean, if the anchored systems cause potential for damage to the concrete, that's one thing, but I'm just wondering if there's any way we could check it out and.
I think we could, yeah. I'm seeing you drill in like a bung, you got a cap for it, and when you're using these, they're threaded in and they stay in there, and then you pull them out, you cap them, and maybe from that. But yeah, could we
Yeah,
ask you to look into that?
Yeah, we could dig into a few more different systems and,
I'm in agreement. I think that the anchored system just lends itself to less risk and just a more better overall appearance as well. I'm assuming, how do we do the line? Do we do the lines in the summertime and then do we cover those for winter ice, or what do we do for lines for these?
well, the lines are painted white.
Okay.
So
For these, and then we go over the top of them in the, as we go into the winter season, correct?
Yeah, and I don't remember who, was I talking to you about that, Katie? Yeah, I think there is like I don't want to call it like a tape or ribbon, but stuff you can lay down. I don't think you want to have both sets actually painted on. 'Cause then you're gonna
100%
have
agree, and that's where I'm going with this,
conflicting
yeah.
lines. And I don't think you're really going to see that white as much through the ice. So I think we probably want to look at, laying out that, that ribbon or tape or whatever for your colored lines.
Yeah, for
underneath
the ice, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's where I was going with this, is if we were okay to paint the pickleball courts on top of underneath what would be our ice surface, which I assume we were.
Yep. And they are already painted. Everything's all painted out there, so.
Anything else, anyone? All right, very good. I just wanted to throw one thing into this update. Just so you know, I did meet with a vendor regarding the pavers over there. I don't know if you remember at the opening, but the pavers, the sponsor pavers are just kind of laid out in the mulch. I did meet with a vendor to actually take those sponsored pavers as well as combine them with the unmarked pavers and actually lay that in a nice paver bed on the one section that would be that open section that we left there. We did get a number on that, and in dialogue with Mr. Sandy, it sounds like they have enough money, the splash pad people easily have enough money to pay for that, so we're just getting a proposal, but it looks like we were able to get that done for like $2,300 to get them in, cut, and all laid in there really nicely. And he was donating some time to do it as well, this vendor. So that's in process to get that snapped up pretty well, along with the obelisk that goes in there, the donor.
Yep, and that'll just be out in front of that column there, and like, we kind of originally had that laid out in there, so,
Yeah.
yep.
So other than that, I don't have anything unless anyone else does.
Would there be room for more pavers later on in case more people?
Yeah, absolutely. If you remember, there's a section to the west that's kind of open, left for the pavers, and then we filled kind of the whole rest of that curve with mulch and some planting. So hypothetically, they could just keep adding on to it.
But they're putting blank pavers in there too, that can be great.
What they're going to do
correct?
is they're going to use the etched pavers, and then they're going to mix in the unetched pavers
Yep.
to come up with a layout that works in that area.
But those could be etched or taken out and replaced with an etched one
Yeah,
later. to fill
100%.
in.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Well, thank you for all your work on this project. It's been fantastic. We're getting to the end of it here, but I do want to just mention great work. Super happy with all of your guys' performance on this and how it turned out. I mean, it's something to be proud of for all of us. So thank you so much.
Correct.
All right, very good. Continuing on to item 6B, this is a discussion on the design standards, Lum Park Master Plan, and the SPRA grant application. Is anyone going to set this up, or are we jumping right to Ashley on this? Let's see, who do we got? Mike?
Yeah, Mike and then
Okay.
Dave Reese are here too, so
I'm going to turn it over to whomever would like to jump in.
okay. Would you like to talk about the grant first? Okay.
Hi, I'm Dave Reese
Hi, Dave.
with Woodseth. I've been working with Paul Sandy on this. This is an application to the State Park Road Account System. We're trying to get the city some money to help resurface Lum Park Road. It would go from Highway 210 to the boat landing, essentially. So this is a program that we're asking the DNR Program Selection Committee to award the city $143,000. This would cover the cost of what fits the State Park Road Account standards, which is usually a rural section road without curb and gutter. It's with ditches. But we've fit this within the setting or context of Lum Park Road, along with the master plan components or elements that the rest of the group's been working on for Lum Park. Trails alongside Lum Park Road that would come from the Cuyuna Regional Trail System into the park. Those aren't eligible costs, but applying for this grant will help us do some of the road work and cover some of that construction cost. So I guess I'm just here to ask if you have any specific questions related to this grant application. It's due November 1st. We have letters of recommendation from the county engineer and from the DNR Trails and Waterways. So good support. I think we've got a good case for funding. And we'd like to get that submitted with your recommendation.
Awesome, thank you. So there was some sketch work that was kind of in our packet, if y'all had a chance to look at that. But before you leave, I'm just going to open it up for any questions that anybody on the board might have.
What's
Mr. Scheit, please.
kind of I guess, how many applications go in for this versus how much funding is available? Like, are there,
Yeah, the funding, it's another state aid pot of money. The DNR actually makes the selections, so the amount that goes into that pot every year is determined by the legislature. It varies from year to year. They try to spread that money out throughout the state so that every district gets some support one way or another that serves public boat landings, state parks, county parks, city facilities like this. So, it's highly variable.
fair enough.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Kara, please.
Remind me again when, so it's due November 1st, but when will we get awarded the money if we won? And then when would the projects start, if we have any idea about that?
Awards are notified in April, So the selection committee will meet about December or January. And they'll make those announcements on who's been awarded funding in about April. So construction conceivably or realistically, soonest would be about July.
So just like thinking of that when we're, for like camping season and all that, but we wouldn't say no, of course. We'd be excited.
Try to get it
Yeah.
on the shoulder season, maybe?
Yeah.
And there's some latitude when you can use these funds too. If it's best to wait a year, they just want you to spend the funds. They don't want you to languish with the funds in the account for 2 years. They like to see a project happen.
So we could easily wait till after Labor Day, for instance, till some of the camping stuff starts wearing down or slowing down?
Yeah.
Any other questions? I have just a couple. Are you applying for this grant on behalf, uncompensated on behalf of the city of Brainerd, or?
Oh, we're being compensated.
And can I ask what that is?
$2,300.
2,300, okay, got it. And a secondary question to that is are there any conditions attached if you are awarded the money that might affect our master plan that would be anything that we would prefer to not see? Any conditions attached to the grant?
No, there are
Okay.
no conditions.
I'm good. Anyone else?
Thumbs up.
Yeah, looks great.
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lum master plan. All right, very good. Yeah, do we want a motion on that?
I think that was
Yeah,
on there.
yeah, you're right.
You mentioned it, so.
I will make a motion to approve the filing of the grant.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Rushmeyer, Mr. Boder. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right. Please, Mr.
I just have a
Mr.
question.
Bedell.
Jennifer, if you could, where's that money coming from?
I believe it was out of the park board's budget. I think that you considered this a couple of months ago, Mike, maybe you remember.
Road?
Pardon me?
For the application. This was the meeting at the park, if I remember right.
I believe
I
that is.
thought it wasn't. I thought it wasn't coming out of the park board.
It was
I
at
don't
a city,
understand.
it was at a city council meeting, I believe, is when
Yeah.
it was approved.
Okay. There you go, Mr. Mayor.
Could we
I
just
think-
get clarification
I think we
on
asked that
that?
before, and I think Paul had mentioned that it was not part of the park board.
I don't think it was out of the park.
I don't believe it is.
I'm
if
going to
we could
double
get
check.
clarification on that.
David just mentioned that he thought it was on the council agenda on the 18th. I'm just going to verify it, but
Okay, perfect.
We're all in agreement that it wasn't on the park board, coming out of the park board money.
It shouldn't be coming from the park board money, is my
We
point.
should probably clarify that, but yeah, that was my understanding as well.
I don't think it was.
Okay, let's just make sure we have clarification on that.
So do we want to suspend this motion, given clarification on where it's coming? Okay, thank you. Very good. So we're going to continue on with the motion. Would just like to double check that, I guess, if we do get some feedback that, are you looking right now, Jennifer? Okay, we're just going to continue on and see if we find something. All right, sorry. All yours.
problem.
Floor is yours, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Nice to see you again. As you may recall, last time we met was at Lum Park with a brisk wind coming off the lake. So I don't have to hold my papers down today, but what we did receive from City Engineer Paul Sandy was just some comments, some feedback with the information that we have given you that day. And so that did include taking a look at maybe highlighting historic elements within the park system, possibly trying to find some additional parking capacity for camping, identifying, trimming up some trees so there's some additional viewing areas for the ski loons, and then also some recommendations for some other different models for hand dryers. So those were the things that we submitted last week, and I believe they were in your packet. Am I correct in saying that? Okay. So Ashley is here today as well. So Ashley, we have the master plan up right now. Would you like to come forward and just talk about the things that we followed up with?
Hello,
Hi,
thank
Ashley.
you. So as you can see on the screens, you can see the additional campground parking that we added to the master plan. Those are those pull in and pull out type parking stalls for the campers so that you don't have to back out. If that's something you want to proceed forward with, that just shows kind of staggering them to add some more additional stalls in there. Also added another one in on the center where the roundabout is on the lot. We do show some disc golf expanded area to the north of that. You could potentially use some of that space as well to create maybe another loop and make additional camping spots out there. If that's something you'd want to look into, we can do that. Again, like mentioned, there is a little, the ring and doing some historic signage there. Another thought was potentially by the entry, that main gate that used to be the entry walkway. You could do some signage up there as well. I think if you page through, there's an additional couple of renderings. There you go. So that's just showing some kind of shelter that could be provided over by the ring and those historic elements to provide additional signage. It kind of can become like a gathering space, include a little bench in there. You can sit, you can overlook the ring or other elements that are nearby. We modeled this off of what is being done at Kiwanis, which is the next photo down. And additionally, out at Milford Mine, I think if you go down a little bit further, there's photo of the Milford Mine one is that little tiny one at the top with the 3 sides as well. So there's just some things to consider. If that is something you'd like us to look into more detail, we could match the same elements with the wood, the green roof, all the design standard pieces that we had and incorporate them into this type of structure.
Awesome. Any comments, anyone here? So specific, are you asking for a specific direction here or just general feedback?
Just general feedback.
Okay. All right, guys. Anybody want to chime in with any thoughts on this?
Can we go back to the overview map? So it looks like there, the entrance to all of the campground areas would be over at the parking lot where the building is now, correct?
Correct. Yep, you'd create a new entryway off of that, so keep it away from the park area.
Okay.
Trail check-in kind of thing going on.
Yeah, and what I'd like to also for us down the line to look at is that other quadrant in the right lower corner of, I know we talked about, we've mentioned before, I just think having camping for people coming off that trail and or people using tents is, I think, important. And then, how do we,
Can we
maybe
do
a little,
something with
little
that
different
more? Yeah.
design of access to that lower quadrant. I think there's a lot of ways to do it, but it looks good. I like the beach area. I like that whole thing down by the lake, and it's a good start.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you, Troy. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Kara, please.
Well, I'm the one who brought up the ring, so I do appreciate that. That looks nice. And knowing what it is versus a scary well or whatever imagination we think about, especially at Halloween, it's like imagining something crawling, yeah.
Yeah, I think those metal rods sticking out was used for animal processing.
Processing.
That's the carcass. That's Dave. Rats were the rancid carcass thing. Yes. I just have one thought. As I'm looking at the beach, I'm thinking that a lot of people are going to be going to this beach and using the pavilion will be parking up on the main area parking. So I'm wondering about the traffic just walking from there across the grass, which I'm not sure that I'm object to it, but I guess I just want some thought given to how people are going to park with kids and flip flops and all the strollers and all the stuff to get from there, so that we don't have people all trying to pack their parking down into the kayak area and down right on the beach. I love the idea of the parking being further away from the beach area. So to me, it seems like there should be some version of a shortcut through, but I guess that's all I was saying here. From globally speaking, I think I love the design, and I like the expanded RV area, and I love the bags and the horseshoes and all that stuff, Horseshoe Nationals and all that cool stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Horseshoe Nationals 2023, baby, right there.
You gotta beat Genola in that
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. Yeah.
Making fun of me.
No, not, did I even, I didn't even look at you.
You didn't. I know. I think you did that on purpose.
We're on the same team here. There's no iron team.
We are.
Well done. Anything else you guys have?
Dave has something.
Please,
Yeah,
Mr.
I just
Bedell.
had a comment about the disc golf. So my only concern with that is in the previous item that we showed, there is a retention pond that is going in place of where one of the holes currently is. And so if that's going to be something that's happening, I think we just need to be mindful of that, and that that's going to disrupt the current disc golf. And then my second comment is that if we're going to place disc golf holes on the opposite side of a 40-acre park, we probably need to have some kind of way of connecting the two, so that it's not just, here's some holes, here's some holes. So if we're going to do
So
that.
it's like a course, I guess. Yeah.
Because currently it is a very intricate, tight-knit course. This almost divides it into two separate pieces. So if we're going to do that, which I am all for, because this gets heavy usage and people really enjoy it, we just need to be mindful to make sure that there is some cohesion to it, especially if we're going to be removing one hole if we get a grant to change that road.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. All right, you guys feel like you got some feedback?
We do.
All right. Anything else? Oh, sorry, Andrew, did you have something?
Oh, just a minor thing, kind of to your point too, Kevin, about, right, there's a path from the strip of parking towards the beach. I think having some of the bags or horseshoes or bocce ball courses on the way, having more local folks hanging out there for the day. You've got beach, go hang out, play some games. Could be a nice, but that seems super easy to we get closer.
Great park, tons of stuff over there. It's awesome. Very good. Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
On a side note, those pictures of that Willard Mine, which if you've ever been to that Willard Mine thing, that is really cool. I mean, it's a really cool memorial. So if you haven't been up there, figure out a way to.
I think
get
you guys are right on track though with the signage and all that stuff. That looks great. All right, very good. Moving on to item 7A. This is new business. Sorry, Mr.
Chair.
Chansky.
I think we have an answer for the mayor regarding where this money is coming from.
Thank you.
Drum roll, please.
I'm letting.
It's coming out of the mayor's
So
budget.
I have,
I believe it was mayor's budget.
so I have on here, Mr. Mayor, so on June 23rd, this came, on June 21st of the city council
Okay,
meeting.
perfect.
It was brought before the Safety and Public Works Committee, and then the motion was moved and seconded by Alderman O'Day and Erickson, duly carried to authorize the proposal and enter into professional services agreement with Widseth for the State Park Road application for Lum Park Road in a total amount of $2,300.
Perfect, yep. I just
Well
want to
done.
make sure that we're clear about that when that stuff comes up. You guys should not be paying for roads.
Well, and possibly even the applications if we don't think that it's a great
Paying
chance.
for applications for roads either.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
sure we're clear on that.
Very good. Thank you.
I don't pay any bills.
Item 7A, this is new business, is a discussion on Hitchwain Park improvements. I'm sorry, I got to scan ahead here. Is this somebody taking this? Or do you want me to just walk us through it? Because this was Paul Sandy. Okay, so I'll just run it, okay? Here, the basic idea here, guys, is the Hitchwain. Does everyone know where Hitchwain is?
I don't. I feel dumb. I was trying to figure it out.
Big Siv, Big Sev. It's commonly referred to as Big Siv also, incorrectly, but yes.
Most recently, Hitchweed Park.
Hitchweed Park, correct. Yep, correct.
Pictures of some weed on here. I was like, yeah, that's pretty exciting.
Yep, it's not that kind of weed, Tim,
I wasn't that excited.
but it was close, yep. Okay, so The basic idea here is that we've had some people kind of bring forth the idea that we could come in there with our own staff and we could clean out some trees, we could clean out some brush. Yes, some trees would be involved, especially if you've been over there. I encourage you guys to go over there and just look at this. But Mr. Chansky here, or we have something in front of us that has a highlighted off the GIS that kind of shows the general area of where the clearing would be done. If anyone's ever been over there, you'll know that they sled both from the north down to the south, and now potentially from the south towards the north, which really adds an exciting dynamic at the bottom of this hill, because not that there wasn't an exciting dynamic before with the brush and the trees and the shrub, which was really exciting sledding, which I can attest to, with some injuries to several of my kids. But the idea here is that it was going to get cleaned out a little bit, scrubbed out, and make for a better sledding hill over here. And my understanding is that this would all be self-performed with our own labor to kind of clean this out. So I guess I'm going to just pitch that in front of you to see what you think. If you guys would like to look, we have a little bit of time on this, although not much. We'd like to get this done before winter, obviously. But I'm going to just throw this over to you guys and see if you guys want to cultivate a little dialogue on what we think here.
There's some pictures too.
There are some pictures, yes, looking down the hill.
Kevin, if I may.
Yes, please, Mr. Bedeau. This seems like this is your thing.
So it came from Councilman O'Day. He was one of the first people to bring this up, and speaking to not just the sledding of it in the winter, but also the state of it during the summer. I did take a walk over there this summer, and I can attest that as you're walking in, you are walking into a jungle in the middle of our city, which we call a park. And my response to that was that if we're going to call this a park, then we need to do something to at least make it a little bit more inviting or less inducive to activities that we may not want in that area. So after looking at it, I kind of said the same thing. I said I hadn't thought about that. I've been there in the winter. I had not even thought about it in the summer. But if we're going to have it designated as a park, one of the bare minimum things we could do is clear some of that brush out and just make it a little bit cleaner.
Thank you.
That request was coming from a council member, and then bring them forward to you guys.
And in all honesty, when I read this, the first thing that came to my mind was goats.
Love it. Always goats.
Put some goats in there.
And you're
boom.
thinking goats?
Are you familiar with what goats have the ability to do? If you
Yes, I
go
do.
check out what they're doing, it is pretty mind-boggling what about 150 goats can do in a few acres. But anyways, I'm 100% all for this, but I like the idea of clearing it out. The only concern that I do have is collision points at the bottom of the hill, sledding in both directions to the bottom of the hill. But maybe that's half the fun.
Well, it's kind of weird. Like I've been on this board for 10 years, and that's the first time I've ever heard the name Hitchwain Park.
It's always been Big Sam.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
Right.
I have a couple, oh, go ahead, Troy Chambers.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I used to live right on Willow Street there on the corner, and I know people would sled there all the time, but also parking is crazy on a really great day for sledding. And I realize that it's public, they can park wherever, but is there any concern for that? If all of a sudden we make it like an even better sledding hill, where people are gonna park, or do we not have to be worried about that? Because that like little.
Look at me.
Okay, I mean, I'm not saying we're gonna make a parking lot, I don't wanna do that, but I just wanna make, at least if you're over in that little, on Vine Street there off of Willow, I think it's packed all the way to Super America or Speedway. So I don't, do we have to be concerned with where people would park if they're on that side? Or is that not anything we have to be worried about? Aren't you on the parking commission? Somebody, you guys? No?
Kevin.
I am. I'm the president of the parking commission.
So I don't know if that's.
I would say that this is my personal opinion, just knowing what I know, but this represents exactly what we want for parking, and that is on-street parking and non-improved lots. I think that we would take a look at this, and if a problem comes up with more parking than we have there, or safety issues concerned, but to me, you'll see people park on the north side as well as the south side, and it's got kind of two access points. I personally don't see it as a problem, but
Okay.
yet, but.
One other thing is, do we have a sign over there? Like, we should have been doing some research
There's
on
a
this
little
part.
little real small sign there. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, might be something to think about.
Yeah, since we're talking signs. But, okay, that's all.
Do we know how the name, does anyone know, please, Mr. Rushmeyer?
I do, actually. The name, and actually, I looked into it because it's a strange name, but it is, there was a lawyer, I believe it was, that owned the land that gifted it, but the other part of it is a young citizen that died. So it was kind of combining the two, the gifting of the land and then the young citizen that lived in the area that died as well, so.
Very good. Thank you.
That's where
Yeah,
the
Troy?
Hitch Wayne came
That's why,
from.
yep, Hitch Wayne.
So Kara, I think those are valid questions, and mine is that, was one of the same that you brought up. Is there a sign there? And then my other question is since this is a park and we're going to do some improvements to it, do we have to worry about making it ADA accessible? Do we have to put something off that street making it ADA accessible? I didn't know this was a park until a few weeks ago. But
That's certainly something we could have staff look into and see what we would need to do there. You have curb in that, but you also have, it's a big hole, so if they can hypothetically get to the curb, we gotta figure out how to get them up and down also,
yeah,
so.
or just down.
Or, correct. In the past, people have parked actually on Vine and 8th as well and taken that little tromp through the woods there. And there's I don't know if you remember, but there's a little goat path, what I'm going to call a goat path, that cuts from 8th kind of through the wilderness, and then you come out what appears to be in someone's backyard, and then they sled right there as well. But I love the idea of at least clearing out the hill and seeing what we've got. Love it.
We need a motion for that?
I think we should have a motion to direct staff to work on the hill, cleaning out the hill in the green area. It's going to include some trees, and keep in mind that may have some impact with, some neighbors who may not like to see that. There are some pretty good trees in this area, good-sized trees in this area.
We have a four-wheel drive stump remover, correct?
That's correct.
All right.
Yep.
I would make a motion to clear it.
All right, we have a motion to proceed with clearing in the green area. We have a second.
Sure.
Mr. Boder, got a second by Mr. Boder. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't want to clear all the trees. That's the biggest part. I guess I would need to go down there, but this looks beautiful. But I get it, if it's a park, we want people to use it, and if they're not using it, that's just the hard part.
I will attest that
It gets used.
it does get used, but in walking into it, I paused. It is a park in our city that I, before stepping into, paused and said, I need to look around. And that to me was enough to say, okay, we need to at least look at this. If we're going to call it a park, even though it is just a winter park, or maybe we just call it a winter park, I don't know. But if we're going to have it be a park, we should at least have it be something that is presentable.
That's true.
Was my thought.
If it's a park, yes, it needs to be safe, and people need to feel comfortable going there. Okay.
I paused. And that's true. Before entering, I thought it probably should take a look.
Yeah, and just to build off that, I went over there before I came here today, and I had the address, and I drove by it twice, because it's like a no parking size sign that says Hitch Wayne Park. So I guess I would like to maybe get a sign there as well. If we're going to put some effort into it, people should be able to find it. And I guess, do you think some lighting would help with?
Katie had her hand up too, but Katie, do you know if there's a light there at the top? I thought there was a light at the top.
There's one on the north side.
On the
It's
north
actually a street light that just spills over. Actually, there's two kind of on the north side that spill over. One is right kind of in the one guy's yard-ish.
I thought there was one on the south side, but I guess it's been a couple years since I've been there.
Katie, please.
Just a quick comment. I present to CLC, their natural resources department there each year, and I believe that Hitch Wayne is used as like a nature viewing area, and I don't know if there's interworking with like seeds, with like the soil and water, if there's something we need to worry about there as far as removing if we're removing something they maybe planted purposefully, like a pollinator park, I'm not positive, but might be something to look into that we're not, I don't know. I know that they do a lot of like nature class work down there, I believe, so just something. I can check up with them on that.
Mr. Chansky?
I was just gonna say, if the board does choose to go down this path, I also can offer the services of James Kronvik, who is the city's tree inspector, to help go down there and maybe guide the Parks Department on park staff of any trees that maybe should not be removed or should not be cut down too. So it's not just pure clear cutting. If there's a desire to keep some of the trees, he can identify which trees probably should be kept.
Very good. So we technically have a motion and a second on the table here. We're in the discussion phase. So I guess I'm going to ask the original motion maker if we want to amend this motion, if we want to table this for further for orders, if we want to go ahead and vote. So
Well, two things for me. If it's a safety issue, just entering the park, I think that's a no-brainer, that we need to clear out an area to make it easy access and not a safety issue as far as worrying about who might be hiding around a bush. So, I mean, if it's labeled a park and there's some fear about walking in there, we need to clear out what we need to clear out. Secondly, if winter's coming and it's a safety issue of kids going down the hill and ramming into trees that, if they're encroaching on the sledding area, then, I get the thing with the college, and, I think should be looked at. So, I mean, I can amend this to say, in lieu of the college giving us some feedback to Katie, but safety should supersede any of that. And so I'll amend it to say that, but I still would like to see it cleared this year if it's a safety issue for kids and for people entering the park.
all right, very good. Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, Kim, do you feel like you have, okay. So no further discussion. I'm going to say all those who are in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Very good. All right, I'm going to jump back to the top here. Sorry, I'm moving around here, guys. Okay, item 7B is the Gregory Christmas tree. This is the new item that was added here. I'm just going to jump in with this real quickly, what this is. Mr. Bedeau is actually here as well, and both he and I talked about this a little bit today. I don't know if you recall, but this did come up last year. We talked about putting a Christmas tree in the area where the fountain is during the Christmas months. We're a little fuzzy on exactly what that might look like, but Dave, if you would be so kind as just give us kind of a basic overview of what the vision is here and what we think it might be, that'd be great.
Yeah, so this would be me putting on my community action type hat. This is something that came from the community, asking if there was potential for us to use the fountain as a place to put a Christmas tree. Just from a visual standpoint and also from a gathering standpoint. It seemed like a very interesting idea. We did investigate it slightly last year. And then in talks of that, there was questions about whether or not we could hold the weight of a full Christmas tree, whether or not we wanted to do that or not. And so it's coming up again, and it's kind of on a little bit of a time crunch in that if we're going to do that, we need to at least investigate now what that looks like. So today and yesterday, I was doing a little bit of investigating on it. Kevin and myself stopped by the fountain just to kind of look at it again today. And there are some options to create something that is what they call a tree of lights. So it's not an actual tree. It is just lights in the shape of a tree. That would alleviate the weight issue. It's not an inexpensive option. And so if it's something that you guys are interested in doing, then from the community side of things, we'll have to go and see where there's funding for something along those lines. But before we go and do that, we wanted to make sure that it's something you're even interested in. So cost-wise, the one quote that I got today was somewhere around $5,500 for a tree of lights. That's a 25-foot tree, 8-foot base. Whether or not that's something we can actually get done this year, I don't know. This one in particular we could get done, but I I wouldn't want to just go grab the first option that's available. But at least we have a general idea of what something like that would look like. And there are community members that have asked if this is something you guys are interested in, so.
Sure. All right, so at this time, I'm just going to turn it over to you guys, just to get a basic feeling of what you guys might think it might look like. Any objections, any concerns, any thoughts like that?
$5,500 seems an awful high for 20 rolls of LED lights and, you know, some plywood.
You would be amazed at how expensive those decorations are. It blew my mind at how expensive. $5,500 was on the very low end of what we were seeing from that stuff. So there were ones that were showing up at $30,000, which seemed ridiculous and is not something we're, as a community, interested in doing. $30,000 fake Christmas trees are not something I'm interested in, but.
But they're reusable, it's LED, they make a big impact, obviously, right? Okay,
What's been done in the past?
nothing. We put a cap over it and leave it.
Oh, I know that, in the park. Have we put a tree in the park? Have we decorated?
Not that I know of.
There was lights. Yeah, they're still, yeah, I think we might have ripped them out eventually. There might be some broken ones in the tree still.
Yes.
I love the idea of driving down Sixth and looking down that, looking down that opening and seeing that tree down there. That'd be very, very
$5,500,
cool.
holy
Yeah.
cow. I think it would look better at night just with lights and some kind of a faux made-up tree-looking substance with all those LED lights, as opposed to the daytime where you can look, oh, there's a 25-foot fake tree. That must have been cheap. I guess not.
The ones that we were looking at were center pole hoops that go down, runners that come down, real lightweight, not affected by wind, all pre-lit, pop it up kind of thing.
And again, it may not even be something that can happen. It just was brought up again. And so in looking at it, it just kind of became a scenario where it's, if you guys are interested, then I will continue to investigate whether or not it's even a possibility.
Awesome.
Will there be other things decorated, do you think? Like, whoever's idea or their thought, was it like light up Gregory Park? Is there gonna be like a new event that happens? Like, are they trying to do like Nisswa City of Lights, but it's like Gregory Park or Brainerd City of Lights? Or do you know if there's plans of?
So this was a part of a larger discussion about our decorations in the downtown area and redoing those. There is a push to jump the number of lights. There's an equation out there that says how many lights you need before you're actually a destination for people to go to. I don't remember exactly what that number was, but it's very high. And so there was conversation with some of the downtown business owners, the DDBC, about looking at new decorations because the ones we have are kind of getting to the end of their life cycle. That then bled into, well, what if we were to do something with the Gregory Park Fountain and create kind of a continuation? At this point, I don't know if there's actually anything specifically planned, but the conversations about carolers and that sort of thing, potentially doing a small event, that would probably be the case. But I wouldn't want to sign anybody up for anything at this point.
Awesome.
I'd just add, I
Yeah.
totally support it. My wife has asked me several times if we've talked about this yet, so, yeah.
I have no objection. Anyone else? So we're green light to raise the money, at least. Yeah.
Well, and I'll continue forward with it. Again, it's going to be a time issue and it's going to be a funding issue. And again, if, the one that I found, it was green lights. I don't know if that's the best solution. I still haven't seen a photo of it. I saw a generalized photo of it, but whether or not that's something that will happen, we'll see. But again, if you guys are interested and the community seems interested in it, then we'll continue forward with trying to figure out if it's something that can happen.
Who pays that $5,500 plus?
So it would not come from anything from you guys. If the first goal would be to see if we can get it privately funded. And then potentially there are a few pockets of money that we could use for it, but it would not be something that I would ask you guys to fund, so.
All right, very good. Thank you, Dave. Sounds like you got green light.
Cool idea.
All right, very good. Moving on to absolutely the most exciting part of our meetings. This is item number 8. This is a public forum. So I'm going to open the public forum at 4:49 and ask if anyone would like to come forward with anything new and exciting. Hearing none, I'm going to close the public forum at 4:49. Very good. We're going to move on to item number 9. This is the city admin report. Jennifer Bergman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Just a couple of quick updates. First of all, we did get a request from DDBC to remove the 150th banners from downtown and then now replace them back with the hometown holidays. So working with BPU to get that done. The Parking Commission, last night the City Council met jointly with the Parking Commission. The Parking Commission gave their recommendations, a lot of good recommendations and a great committee, I think, that was really thorough and thoughtful in their presentation to the council. 8 recommendations. I think the biggies were, number 1, increase the lot rents or the rents for parking spaces in the city-owned lots. Number 2 was a discussion on the potential of parking meters. So that will be coming back to the city council. The city council did put that on the Safety and Public Works Committee to kind of vet some of these recommendations. I think those were the biggest. Number 3 kind of tied 1 and 2 together, and that was to pool those funds, anything above and beyond after expenses, to have the EDA kind of take that over and continue to do some improvements in downtown Brainerd. The other things, there were wayfinding signs, a number of different recommendations. I know Chair Yeager is here. He did chair the Parking Commission, and David Chansky was our staff person that oversaw it. So I just thought it was great. Parking Commission did a great job. The other big thing is that the City Council is working on a streetlight policy. Just thought I would let you know about that. Just one of the things that has kind of been a struggle for Paul Sandy is we'll get a onesie, twosie, please turn my light off, please turn my street light on. And so this policy really just helps to frame that, kind of make it a little more black and white. We are working with BPU on lighting going forward in the future. Zoning code update. The city council also did hear from our consultant, walked through the first phase of that. That is our residential zoning code, just to get some feedback from the council, make sure the consultant and the community development department were on the right path. Next, they will be hearing about our commercial zoning standards, so that will be coming up at a work session in November. And with that, that's about all I have for updates.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to item 10 now. Katie, if you'd like to jump in with your coordinator report, please.
Sure. Just wanted to follow up with everything that's happened this past month. Fall sports concluded. Plaques have been created for the champions and runner-up. Youth and adult pond hockey has opened, so registration is open for that. Warming house attendance, still accepting applications. Same with pond hockey officials. We would appreciate 15 and older for those positions, so if you know anyone, tell them that that's kind of the age, the minimum age we're looking for. And then special events, probably our best special event we've had in a long time. What made it kind of special was so many community partners coming together, and it just added to the community sense of the whole event, and the whole purpose is to bring the community together in our most central park. We had additional things like the gourd checkers and just a lot of fun little events, and not to mention the grand opening of the community-wide Rethink Your Drink bottle filling. There's just so many things going on, but the plaque is there for you to view. It's beautiful. It took Kathy, she probably worked hours on this and got it done in like a week. So very happy with the turnaround on that, Kathy Binder. And then and on top of the event, just the success in numbers, 1,000+ people attended. But on top of that, we received so much in donation from Boysenberry Farm and Baxter Walmart, and then just a lot of volunteerism with the Adult and Teen Challenge, and then Bill Musil, who announced. But the vendors themselves actually made money and said they would all be coming back next year. So definitely looking to keep building on that event. As far as the next event happening this weekend, Howl-O-Ween at the Buster Dog Park. Costume contest for dogs, tricks for treats. And yeah, we'll be giving away Pampered Pets gift certificates that they donated to us for the event. And then also we'll have someone there taking pictures. So if you want a picture with your dog and no one's ever there to take a picture of you and your dog, there you go. You have a photographer there on site for free. So that's all I have. And then I believe Paul, since he's not here, he just wanted you to review his portion of the reports, and if you had any questions to follow up with him.
Thank you, Katie. I know that Mr. Chansky has something he would like to add as well, so I'm going to jump over to David, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm here today just to give the board a quick update on the Mississippi Landing Trailhead project. The project management team has met 3 times since WSBU was selected to design and manage the construction of the park. They have set meetings on the first and third Tuesdays of each month at 5:30 p.m. After we had a kickoff, myself, Paul, Jennifer had a kickoff with Chris, who departed, but in his defense, he didn't know I was going to be making this update, so don't give him any grief for departing early. We decided that we should discuss, the PMT should discuss items with the most intricacy first, moving our way down to the least intricate items. The thought process behind that is that way any issues that might come up with those more intricate items, we can identify them and address them early on, and get them addressed in a timely manner, so we don't end up in December with an intricate issue that a problem came up and now we're pushing our deadlines to try to get out for bid and get the project started in the spring. Some of the items that the PMT has discussed so far include the restrooms, amphitheater, canoe kayak launch, river steps, both the river overlook and the hill overlook and the promenade. When discussing these items, there have essentially been 3 foundational, I'll call them pillars, for each item. The first is that the budget for this project is $2.85 million, and if you actually remove the contract with WSB, $2.62 million. So always keeping that in mind. 2, all elements need to be maintenance friendly and durable. And 3, design elements such as color, facade materials, aesthetics, etc. will follow the design standards currently be reviewed and adopted by the Park Board. With those elements in mind, I'm just going to do a quick rundown of some of the recommendations that the PMT has made or identified so far to some elements. For the restrooms, they should be a precast concrete structure with stainless steel fixtures. The idea with that is, 1, it's extremely durable, not easily damaged. Stainless steel fixtures, again, guard against vandalism and are much more durable this long term. Additionally, it actually makes the restroom facilities a lot cheaper. And actually, if we were to go this route and what the PMT is suggesting is a 4-stall, unisex, handicap accessible bathroom, we'd actually be probably somewhere between the structure, utilities, the foundation, all less than potentially half, at least half of what our budget was originally for the bathrooms. I also just want to point out that we still are attempting to engage the school district regarding a discussion of potentially partnering with them regarding the ball field bathrooms across the street. However, we found it important that we still needed to make a decision about restrooms should nothing come to fruition with ISD 181 on the bathrooms issue. For the canoe kayak launch, that should be comprised of pervious concrete pavers up to the high water mark, so there is a solid foundation when you're trying to get in and out of your canoe or your kayak. It will be ADA accessible. The pervious pavers also make it so we don't have to worry too much about any permitting with the DNR. And then the trail leading to the kayak launch should be a crushed granite. Again, it's ADA accessible, and we have to worry less about impervious structures and things, and it's cheaper than things like concrete or bituminous. For the amphitheater structure, this should be also primarily a precast with elements matching those of the stonework throughout the park system, especially those in Kiwanis and Rotary Parks. And timbers for the roof structure should also be similar to that of the Rotary Park Pavilion. Again, even with this, the nice thing about doing precast is you can make it look pretty much like anything. So it can still be precast and look like wood. And again, that makes it the structure a lot cheaper. It's more durable and easier to maintain. For the seating around the amphitheater, it should be irrigated grass. Two things on that. One, it was determined to use grass. There was some discussion about potentially looking at turf for the tiered areas of the seating around it because of the durability, not necessarily having to mow it. But I think the discussion was stick with grass for now. If you go down the turf route, then you might have to be looking at investing in equipment, especially equipment to maintain the turf. And if that's the only area you're having turf in the entire system right now, it's really not a cost-effective option. One of the discussions was, should the park board down the road discuss looking at putting turf in other areas of the system? Maybe you'd want to come back later and put turf in those areas because those are the primary seating areas of this park. But right now, we are recommending grass. And for that section of the park, the amphitheater seating in the hill, to be irrigated, the reason being, especially when you have years like this year with the extreme drought, we want to make sure there's still a nice lush area where people are going to be sitting. You don't necessarily want people sitting on crunchy, sharp grass, dead grass. For the walls of the tiered concrete sections, the amphitheater seating, the river steps, and the hill overlook, using colored concrete block. It's much cheaper than poured concrete, and then it also has some consistency around the park. It also some consistency you see throughout the city. It's similar, though the concrete block is what you see in a lot of our roundabouts. So there'd be a design element that actually incorporates the entire city into that as well. For the nice promenade that be running, kind of cutting the park in half right behind the amphitheater, discussion that it should be roughly 20 feet in width, so it's nice wide. The idea with that is allow for potential use of food trucks or other vendors for, if you want to do a farmer's market or other kind of markets, or even when allowing for trucks to come up for the amphitheater to help musicians or plays or things unload their equipment to the amphitheater. It should be constructed of stamped concrete with a pattern that invokes elements of the Mississippi River, and then lined with trees roughly every 20 to 30 feet as well. Have a nice lining of trees. And then finally, the river overlook should partially extend over the bluff of the river to allow views both up and down the river. Right now, WSB is still deciding, trying to figure out how far it can extend over the bluff before we run into issues with the DNR and those support pillars going into the river itself. The educational pavilion, which is a big element of this park, has not directly been discussed yet, but it's anticipated that the structure will take a form, again, primarily being a precast structure with design elements that closely follow those of the amphitheater, so there's some consistency throughout the park, as well as this overall design standards developed by the park board. Finally, at this time, we haven't received preliminary cost estimates from WSB. We're actually anticipating those in an upcoming meeting for the items that I just presented about. However, we do believe that the proposed design elements that I just mentioned should result in certain areas of the project coming significantly under budget, speaking especially, as I said, like the bathrooms, to an extent that may allow for the construction of both the amphitheater structure and the river steps. Both of those items are currently ad alternates. So if the bids come in favorably, when we go out to bid in the spring, then we'll be able to build those. And right now we're feeling that it's going to become a higher likelihood that we'll actually be able to incorporate those elements into construction next summer. Finally, just kind of upcoming items that the PMT will be discussing are the elements that make up the trailhead piece of the park, the play space, site lighting, site furnishings, landscaping, signage, wayfinding, and trails. So I have, Mr. Chair, if there's any questions from the park board, I'll take them now.
Thank you, Mr. Chansky. Any questions? Excellent report.
Thank you.
All right, with that,
I have something.
yeah, please, Kara.
But just, I wanted to mention back to the special events. So I worked at the Great Pumpkin for Crowing Energized. We did temporary tattoos, which were fantastic. It was insane. I didn't look up from my table for 2 hours. Kids just putting their hands. Also handed out the water bottles for the event, which everyone was super excited. They thought the water bottles were fantastic. They were like, I can't believe this is free. We're like, well, you need to commit to drinking water. Okay. So, but I do want to mention, I would encourage everyone on the park board to come and volunteer or help out at those events. I know I was working, but I did end up helping Katie tear down. But it's a lot of work, and also setting up too. But I think that would be cool if we were able, if Katie lets us know that if you need help, that would be great. Plus, if we hire that other person, that would be helpful for you too. But it's kind of cool to come out and see what we are doing as a park board. Katie's doing all the work, but we're supporting you behind the scenes. So I just think it'd be great if you guys have a weekend open and you let us know what kind of help you might need.
I could use the overtime.
The overtime, well, you don't get paid. Right. I don't know. It's just kind of cool to see the events and see the community, and it's in our park. So just, that's all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other board comments? Anybody? Mayor, you have anything? All right, we're
You've heard
good.
from me enough.
All right, very good.
Oh, I do have one comment.
Yes, please, Mr. Rushmeyer.
In Paul's notes, there was a thing about skate.
Yes,
I'm trying to raise some money for a skate park.
yes, actually,
I have a motion,
oh,
at the bottom of Hitch Wayne Park. And we could really do something down there. Just
so they could get down there in a hurry.
Yes,
Band-Aids provided.
right.
All right. If there's nothing else, we're at item number 11, which is our adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Ms. Schaefer, second by
Shape.
Mr. Scheit. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.